All right, so I want to explain to people who are being gang stalked how you can use the Jeanie effect. Now, if you're being gang stalked, I recommend that you go look at my material on the confusion stage of gang stalking. The confusion stage is usually what separates people from being open and being fluid and trying to have somewhat of a consistent life compared to isolation, fear, different types of paranoias. It's even spiritual, it's like a gloomy feeling. A lot of people even tend to go to suicide, or they tend to get out there and shoot somebody. People like the lawyer Myron May. A lot of people come to me in that type of atmosphere, going through the confusion stage. Now, what I started doing is I just started going out and talking to the people who gang stalked me. I started this back in the spring of 2016. I just go on a patrol and just hit up everybody doing it. Just go through and talk to everybody I can, old people, even like people out there, women walking their dogs and stuff, guys congregating on the corner or whatever, no matter what type of neighborhood it is or no matter where it is. I just go through there, doctors, lawyers, police officers, whoever, and I just talk to them and I explain to them, have you heard of gang stalking? Oftentimes they'll say no. And so I'll tell them about the color coding, the brightening. I'll tell them about how it's happened to so many people around the world, that there's thousands of people on YouTube talking about it. And then I'll always start the conversation with, I beat gang stalking. And I'll say I was the only person in the world to ever beat gang stalking. And I started doing that in the spring of 2016. I haven't done it in a long time, but now that I've been presenting my courses to people, a lot of people have been emailing me, telling me, what can I do about it? What can I do about it? What can I do about it? There's simple strategies and tactics that have worked for me that you can apply to yourself, and you will get some results out of it. One of the coolest things about it is you can alter the people around you. I'm going to explain this to you. As you go through, you try it on foot. Try it on foot. Go out into an area where there's more people. Is going to be more effective. And just go through and start talking to all the people you perceive to be a part of the gang stalking. Just go through an area and just speak to all of them and talk to them. Just tell them something about yourself and tell them what your interpretation of gang stalking is. And just ask them, have they heard of it? Do they know what it is? Sometimes they'll tell you yes. Some of them will say, yes, I've heard of it. A few of them will tell you their participation in it. If you can get to talking to them about what color shirt they're wearing or how they're driving with the brights. Now, there's something called the Jeanie effect that I started telling people about back in the spring of 2016. The Jeanie effect is based off of mimicking. If you're being gang stalked, especially at a higher level, people will be mimicking you. You may see people who look like other people who are being contracted to participate in the gang stalking assignments. You may have a favorite coat or something about yourself, detail about yourself that you like. And the other people that get contracted to do the gang stalking assignments, they might not even know they're mimicking you. They'll just be asked to wear a certain coat or a certain shirt as a detail of their assignment. But they'll be mimicking you. And so sometimes I'll just trip out and just go into I'll just say something like, the other day I was talking about this. I was saying the 80s. The 80s. You could turn a whole city into an 80s party. I'm gonna tell you how you do it. You start walking down the street and start telling people I beat gang stalking, only person in the world to ever beat gang stalking, and then you just start talking to them about the 1980s. Say, oh, that shirt you it looks like it's from the 1980s, or those clothes you look like from the 1980s. If you do this repeatedly over and over and over again, the gang stalking orchestrations will start to mimic the 1980s. You're constantly being observed. The words you're using, especially over the phone or text messages or emails or what you're saying. If you're on YouTube, if you go up to these people and you speak to them and you say this types of stuff, the people who are orchestrating gang stalking on you, they're going to pick that up and they're going to mimic it back to you. So you can just be out on the streets and just go through a series of individuals and just start telling them, this is who I am. Have you heard of gang stalking? Yada, yada, gang stalking, gang stalking, gang stalking. And you're talking about gang stalking, and that's going to break you of the fear and the isolation to some degree. It's getting you from a state where you've been fearful of speaking to the people around you. You've been scared of ridicule. You've been paranoid. you've been isolated, you've been in fear, you're just going to break all of that immediately by going out and using my tactics, by just approaching the people. Just keep doing it, just keep doing it, just keep doing it, just keep doing it. Like sometimes I'll stick like an hour and I'll walk the street and talk to everybody I see. Everybody I see. Just like a Jehovah's Witness does. Just like somebody in the Mormon church does. Just like somebody trying to save the Amazon rainforest who's out there waving placards and stuff. Same type of mindset. You got to be active with it. More active than what they're doing. And just go through and communicate with everybody you can. Polite and respectful. Not nothing negative. Like you're trying to create a confrontation for negativity, but you be politeful and respectful, and you go through and you communicate with all these people. Then you put a spin on it. After you get used to that, start saying stuff about. Try it. Try this. Just start saying stuff about the 1980s or mimicking the 1980s and all this stuff. Next thing you know, the gang stalking orchestrations will be mimicking the 1980s back to you. If you're somebody who's been getting gang stalked for a long time, you'll understand what I'm saying off rip, how the mimicking effect works. So I'll be like, okay, well, for this whole weekend, I'm going to turn it into an 80s party, a 1980s party. And so wherever I go, they will have the people dressing like the 1980s and doing different sorts of things. The gang stalking orchestrations, and they'll be paying for all of it. They're paying the people with the prepaid credit cards and the restaurant discount cards and the what are they doing now? They're giving them the rent-a-cars and the free phones, and they're giving them all this stuff. And so they're going off of your cue. They're basing the orchestrations off of what's going to be most effective on you, what signal you're giving out the most. So you transform the targeting that's happening to you, and you can turn it into one big 70s party or a 60s party or whatever you got in your mind that you want to do. I've experimented in the past. I've said things about attractive women driving BMWs, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, they had a string of attractive-looking women driving BMW cars or cars that look similar to BMWs following me around. I went online, I went on YouTube. This is a while ago. This is a long time ago. I went on YouTube, and I just started saying that, and they started mimicking it back to me. And so that's the Jeanie effect. So once you can get out there and break that fear and break that isolation and start openly communicating with the people in your environment on the subject of gang stalking, then you can alter that and attach the Jeanie effect. So now you've broken your fear of all these people. You don't care. You everywhere you go, gang stalk. I beat gang stalking. What's your name? Can I get your phone number? What's your email? I'll tell you more about it. Read my blog. I beat gang stalking. You never heard of it? Blah 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 blah. And you just go through and you make all these associations and all these connections, and then you attach the Jeanie effect to it. And then you say, yeah. What do you know about the? After you talk about gang stalking, then you reintroduce a new subject that you patternize, and you say, oh yeah, that dress looks nice. What's that like? Supposed to be like a 1980s dress, blah blah blah. Or some sunglasses. Take a pair of sunglasses with you. That looks like some 80s sunglasses, and be out there showing it to the people and stuff. Now the orchestrations are going to come in, and next thing you know, you're going to have people following you, doing gang stalking assignments on you, reflective of the 1980s. So now you've altered all this stuff around you to the 1980s. That's just an analogy. You can use whatever. You can change them into whatever you want. But I started doing that and it works. It's crazy. It's a crazy feeling. It's a crazy feeling too. It's like that video game Vice City. It's like the video game Vice City. It's like you pop up and now everybody has to change themselves over into some 1980s stuff. And so you just turn the whole city into an 80s night quickly. And it's heavily financed and well networked. It is heavily financed and well networked. They got their act together. I'm telling you, this stuff works good. This stuff works. I haven't been telling people about this stuff in a while. I haven't been working on my courses with anybody, but it's a hell of an approach. So once you get the Jeanie effect in the formulation, and you take your time with it. Like you take your time with the Jeanie effect. Don't be too quick to try to rush it into a bunch of other stuff right away. Just look at it and look how they're using the different people and stuff like that. And then you can even alter it beyond that. You can turn the 1980s thing into if you're a guy, next thing you know, you could be talking about women, women who wear 1980s clothes. So the majority of the people out there doing assignments on you will be reflective of women wearing 80s clothes, and so now you got a bunch of women wearing 80s clothes following you around and all this stuff, and it's cool. It's really cool, and so that's my ultimate message to people. When you approach the people, have your little spiel about gang stalking. You just keep doing that. You just keep hitting them up and doing that repeatedly over and over and over again. Don't worry about looking silly. Don't worry about looking stupid. Just be respectful, but just continuously do it over and over and over and over and over again. And then you put your spin on it. With it, you attach it to something like that you want them to mimic. And then that's the Jeanie effect. And it works. Try it.